Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Junk Room where we create whatever. I'm making a very special junk journal, horse themed, for a friend of mine. And I've been collecting lots of stuff for the last several months: lace, ribbons, magazines, playing cards, anything horse related. I was scooping up. Wallpaper became a part of this junk journal, as you'll see later. What I couldn't find was papers that I was going to use for the signatures. I looked online, I looked on Etsy, and I couldn't find anything that spoke to me. So I ended up creating my own DigiKit for this project using a program that had some of these pictures, but including some of the pictures I've taken and that she's taken. I wanted lots of ephemera pieces, and you'll see those coming up later. This was other stuff that I had in my stash where I don't know where it came from, but I loved this material. It was already cut up in these squares. Loved the horses. The colors were beautiful. I wasn't sure how I could use the square pieces, but I was going to try. And they came from this great big piece of material, so I can only show half of it at a time. But the colors were beautiful. The horses were beautiful. There was lots of colors to work with and pull out. And I thought maybe this would make a great cover or inside the junk journal. Here's the other half of the material. And even though it's Western theme and my friend rides equestrian, I thought, you know what? It's still beautiful. It's still horses. I want to use it somehow, in some way. I also have this horse keychain. The horse itself is very heavy, but there was some charms on the bottom that I thought maybe I could use in my dangle that I make for the outside of the journal. Here are some of those ephemera pieces that I created. I wanted lots and lots of ephemera, different sizes, different shapes of the same thing, for journal cards, for tuck spots. I wasn't sure how I was going to use them or what. Some made the cut and some didn't, but I had lots and lots to work with. And so here's just a sampling of some of the wildflowers. Some circles. I don't usually use circles, but I wanted to try. Loved the bird on the fence post. Little pieces to use in some way. Found some quotes. I used a lot of quotes in this junk journal. So I had lots of them. Again, wasn't sure how I was going to use them, but I wanted to use them. Made some faux Polaroids a while ago and made a horse one and just kept it aside. I'm keeping that wallpaper there and lifting it up a little bit because at this point I don't have my friend's face covered. Those were some stamps I'd found and this beautiful napkin that I wanted to use in some way. Not sure how, but I was determined to use this. Didn't know if I was going to go with a brown paper bag or Amazon packaging, and I went with Amazon packaging because I loved the sound of it. So this is wallpaper. I loved it. It reminded me of a red barn, and that's what I decided the cover was going to be. So here I'm just trying to figure out how to cut it down. I already put the signatures together. I have about 15 pages in each signature, so I'm trying to figure out how do you cut this down. So I take one of the pages and just use it as a guide to see where it's going to cut best, making sure that crease is there, and then just start to mark where I need to cut some straight lines. I use this dull blade. That didn't work. So I got out the X-Acto knife definitely need a better one, a stronger one. But you know, here I am cutting straight lines with a ruler and X-Acto knife. Having a great time with that X-Acto knife. Takes me forever to cut through it. But I finally get it down to the manageable size. And just looking through some more of the papers that I used in this signature, I just loved how it turned out. I used dyed paper, I used parchment paper, I used photos and made them into a paper, used an envelope, cards, a brown paper bag. And this horse and the one that is on the other side of that coming up is special, very, very special. So here's just some more of those pages, a card. Some of the pictures were bold and some were not so bold, because I wanted her to be able to write on everything, and I was hoping she'd take it to university with her as she starts her first year there. I wanted this journal to be interactive and hold memories, but also hold future memories. That horse there is 45, and that was the horse that started it all. I introduced her to horses when she was 3. Her mom wanted her to be a figure skater, but when she saw my horses, she fell in love with them. And let's just say she's not gone back to the figure skating, but really embraced the horseback riding and horses. I had 4 pieces of this wallpaper that I absolutely loved, reminded me of the barn. So I put 2 together, sewed at the top and the bottom, creating side pockets on the first signature. And then this one here, I sewed down the sides and the bottom, creating top pockets, nice and deep, where she could put lots of stuff in there if she wanted to. And then I just folded over the one just to give it more interest, as that was a very plain white wallpaper. So here I go. I want the cover to be a little bit bigger than the signature. And the wallpaper is not as long as the pages, and that was okay. So let's see if they fit. Yep, I think that's where I want them. Thumbs up. I'm going with this red wallpaper for the cover, and as you can see, I make a beautiful straight line there. Are you kidding me? Back, I gotta fix that. Back to the dull blade. Let's try this again. We gotta make it a little bit straighter. So I'm doing my best, and then I come to this part, and it's only been on the camera looking back that I see the left side is not straight at all. But at this point, it's a junk journal. And it should be okay. I hope it's going to be okay. And if you've watched any videos, you know I can't cut in a straight line to save my life. So I'm trying to figure out which way it's going to be the best. I get my art glitter glue, and I don't give it a good coverage because I'm taking it to the sewing machine, but I just need it to hold in place. So there we go, making sure it's stuck down good. Make that crease again and open it up, and just love the sound of it. That's going to be great. Let's go back to the material and see how I can use it. So I'm going to use it for the inside, I think. So I picked the 6 squares that I like the best, and I rip it and get it in place. And then I realize that it's not going to work because it's going to be too short on the one side. So what can I do? So I get some paint and ink sprays out, and I do the smooshing technique I've seen Barbara do on 49 Dragonflies, and she does this a lot. I'm like, I gotta try it. I love it at this point. It's showing the packaging the inside of the packaging, those circles, that's the inside of the packaging. I love how that's being brought out. And I'm squishing and smushing, and then it dries. And I'm like, yuck. That's awful. I can't leave it like that. So get the gesso out, because gesso can fix anything. So I put a lot of gesso down. I give it a good coverage with it, because I wanted to cover it up, and then I wanted to make sure that nothing seeped through. So good coverage. I let it dry, and I go back to the technique that I'm determined to do, the smooshing technique. So here we go with the sprays again. That didn't work. And then, whoops. What am I going to do with that dot in the middle? Don't worry, it's okay. We're smooshing. We can smoosh it. So there I go. Smush, 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 smush. And I love now how the packaging paper is being brought out. It makes it look more like the inside of the stables. And so I'm just having a great time. I get my turquoise paint out, because that's the color, the dominant color. And so I go in and I'm just smushing it. And I just love it. But I needed to get in some cracks. So then I just started to spray things and let them go down. So spray, squirt with water, and away we go. So there's the cover. It's sewed, not straight. But that's okay. And I love the inside with the turquoise, the browns, and the gold. All right, let's figure out how we're going to do this signature. As you can see, I've covered my friend's face where she appears young. And I did get permission to use all those photos. And when she received it, I got permission to post it on YouTube. So where is the center of this journal? I take this washi tape because I want the signatures to be on either side of the center. I probably should have used bigger or a little bit wider washi tape, because this was driving me nuts. But I'm trying to figure this out as I go. So I get my ruler out. I'm going to do the 5 pamphlet stitch, because I want to make sure things are in there good. So I'm just lining it up. I'm marking everything. I'm thinking that, man, this is good. I can do this. So I line it all up. Look, there's my spots. So far, so good. We can do this. I get out all my stuff that I need for sewing in signatures, pick out the wax thread I'm going to use. I pick my favorite. And now I have to go through the signature again and line up everything the way I want it to be. So making sure that everything will open, that everything's going the right way. Papers are where I want them. That one was a little bit wider, but that's okay. Just making sure everything is where I want it to be sewed in. So here we go with the first signature, making sure it's all lined up in there, and use the ruler to get it all down in there. And then I take the clamps here, because you got to hold it in place. And so I think I'm doing a really good job at this. Ready to poke my first hole. Yep, make sure I got everything lined up. Poke my first hole. Hold my breath. Okay, this is really happening. I'm going to do it. Poke it through. Yeah, this is good. And then I'm like, oh my goodness. The clamps need to be on the cover as well to hold the cover in place. Stay tuned to see how this comes together, or does it? Have a great day, everybody.